I wasn't comfortable enough to let my hands flow. And once, I think it was the end of the third or fourth round, I started to feel comfortable stepping in and throwing my combinations, whether it was the 1-2 or body shots. And I seen it, I started to land more. I did hurt him, I believe it was the end of the fourth round. And I said, okay, now we're starting to put my punches together. So, but I don't know what punch actually caused the damage. I have to go back and see the replay.
It looked like you landed right-handed.
So I remember looking up at the Jumbotron in between rounds, and the cut that he had that was on his eye was caused by a right hand. I remember off the break, I think it was, but that was the shot that landed, that cut him on the eye. I can't speak for the nose, I have to go back, but I'm definitely positive it was a punch.
Danny, how much heavier do you think he was than one?
Oh, Lord have mercy. This guy was big. I mean, I felt like I was fighting a heavyweight. From the very first punch he landed, it didn't shake me, but I felt the thump and the velocity behind it. He was a heavy-handed guy. I seen his whole body as I was sizing him up, the face off. I said, man, this is gonna be, this is gonna be some night. And for me, it was more so just trying to be comfortable within myself and avoid those big shots. And then once I knew I was gonna be comfortable, then I was gonna let my punches flow. But I didn't know how long it was gonna take me to be comfortable, because when you're fighting a big guy like that, I mean, he wasn't a super middleweight by any chance. So I can't even say this was my super middleweight debut, right? This is like Roy Jones versus John Ruiz, So, hats off to him, even though he couldn't continue, but for the first couple of rounds, he gave me a fair share of a tough fight.
Yeah, he always was a lot bigger than you in the ring. At what point did your game plan, if anything, change? Was it the first 2 rounds, perhaps, when you started landing those punches? Did your game plan change at all early in the rounds, or in the fight, I should say?
I don't think my game plan changed. My game plan was just to be comfortable and start to let my punches go. But it took me a couple rounds to actually get warmed up. So my game plan didn't change. My game plan was to box, move in circles. As I was going side to side, I can see, he needs to be set in order to punch. So I was trying to work off of those combinations and those drills that we've been working on in the gym. My cornerman, Faris Amai, gave me the best instructions. He calmed me down. When I came back to the corner, I was like, Coach, this guy's big. He said, don't worry about it. Take your time. It's going to come. And sure enough, I started to flow. I started to warm up, and the rest is history.
Did you get a chance to talk to him?
Chavez?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't understand it, the language barrier, but I apologized because he said it was a head bun and I was elbowing him. He was complaining about a lot of those things, so I gave him my respect and I said, I apologize if you feel that way, but I have to go back and actually look at the replays to see if that what it was, because we know Chavez and we know that sometimes he may make excuses. So him quitting on a stool for me was, I won't say it was unexpected, but obviously the fans didn't agree with the decision, but
So what was it? Are you surprised at how the crowd reacted?
Yeah, I don't feel like it was intended towards me.
Yeah,
Even though we were ducking it, it was a fun experience. I mean, regardless of how you look at it, I've seen that in past fights with Hagler and all those guys. I said, man, that's some type of experience, right? But never thought that I would go through something like that. I knew it wasn't intended for me, but at the same time, I just felt like I wanted to be able to. Because I really was looking forward to giving my speech about my friend Patrick Day afterwards. And I think that, to me, kind of spoiled that moment in order for me to honor him the right way. But this is boxing. This is a crazy, hectic sport. So, I wouldn't assume anything less.
Danny.
You spoke 2 days ago about the 12,000 raging fans you were expecting
Yes, sir.
in this arena. They wanted revenge for Chavez Sr. They came expecting some kind of war.
Yes, sir.
How did it feel for you to walk out of the ring expecting maybe a beer or two, and yet you got cheered all the way out? How'd you feel about that?
I felt great. I felt like, man, these fans here wanted a great show, and I did my part. They was very disappointed in Chavez, and they showed that because they wanted a war. They wanted a fight. And I felt like we were actually giving them exactly what they wanted as the fight was progressing. So I was excited. I remember even at the last of the fourth round or something like that, I was screaming. Like, I was pumped. This is the type of fighting that I like. My trainer doesn't like me to, go crazy like that, but I like to bang, so. Yeah.
Danny, you talk about it took you a couple rounds to get warmed up. Was that more just an ebb and flow of a normal fight, or was it his weight advantage? Have something to do with
It was
or
definitely the
both?
weight advantage. I wanted to make sure that I was able to take his punches and be able to exchange at the same time. because if I felt like it was too much, I would have just stayed using my speed, using my lateral movements, and work off my stick. We was doing that, but as the rounds progressed, I felt like I was able to take his shots in between exchanges. So that's why I felt comfortable to throw heavier shots and land and brawl with him.
When did you see his footwork becoming a disadvantage? We can see he had to
Yeah.
sit tight and throw the punches.
Yes,
When did you see that happening for you?
I think it was about the third or fourth round as I was doing my side-to-side movements. I said, okay, he needs to set to punch, and he was only throwing punches when I was close to the back of to the ring, or the ropes rather.
Eddie, what happened to Julio now?
Yeah, it's a shame because we got 5 great rounds and he was boxing well. I mean, he had a big advantage because of the weight. But as you saw from the reaction for the fans, the one thing Mexican fans won't tolerate is quitting. And it's very hard for us being out of the ring. I always feel like it's bad on us to criticise anyone that quits in the ring because we don't go through it and we know how dangerous the sport is. So it's hard to call someone a quitter. I feel like as a non-boxer to call a boxer a quitter, I can't do that. But he decided he didn't want to continue. And you saw the reaction of his father. I mean, I've seen the clips as if to say, you just can't, you know, Mikey Garcia was sitting next to me, he said, you just can't do that, you know, like.
But did he tell you that?
Yeah, he's, you know, and I was, through this experience, you know, we've had to really stick by Julio to make this fight, to be honest. And I felt like this was the perfect fight for Danny Jacobs. But that aside, I know that Julio Cesar Chavez is a big draw as well.
Sure.
You saw that the two of them tonight had a huge crowd, it was a great atmosphere, it was electric.
Yeah.
Well, after the Tuesday injunction, you
Exactly.
sold like 8,000.
Yeah, I know. No, we'd already sold well before that, but we had a good walk up tonight and everything. But it's a shame because he's a vulnerable guy, and he's actually very likable.
Right. No, yeah.
But
You just got a soft spot for him.
I have. No,
You really do.
I have. You know, because it's like, but I do have a soft spot, but he doesn't sometimes help himself. And actually, the fight was going on, I knew what was going to happen. He was going to be big and strong early on. Danny was going to break him down, and I expected Danny to stop him late. But the frustrating thing is, I kind of hoped, and I didn't believe he'd win the fight tonight, but I hoped out of the fight he would get some kind of redemption, and he would have. If he would have carried on and got stopped after the start he had and the fight itself, I think people would have gone, fair play, well done, Julio. But instead, he'd probably never be out of fight.
This question is for both of you guys. Where do you guys go from here? I know this is your debut at 168, but maybe to you, and then I can go back to you, Eddie. Who would you like to fight at 168?
Well, I mean, obviously, I got to go back and talk about it with my manager, Keith Connolly, discuss what are the best plans moving forward in the near future. But 2020 is going to be a big year for us. I'm sure we're going to move in the right direction as far as climbing up the ladder. I don't want to go backwards. I want to face the true champions of the division, and I want to step up. So for me, tonight may not have been the greatest outcome as far as what I projected. I fought a bigger guy.
Yeah.
I wanted to fight a true super middleweight in order to feel exactly what it was like to be in with the guys like that. But I mean, all we can do is move forward and learn from the past. But to me, this was a good test.
Daddy, how much did you feel that he was maybe already looking for a way out when he was complaining about the elbows, the headbutts?
You know, as laughable as it is, I honestly didn't think he was going to quit. I honestly thought that he was just looking for a way for the referee to take away points. So that's why for me, I'm not a guy who like to touch gloves. I'm not a guy who like to say, I'm sorry. This is a fight. I like to fight. But I was just like, bro, come on, all right, here you go. I'm sorry. I don't want to headbutt you. Come on, let's just fight. Let's, if you want to get it on, let's get it on. So I was a little sympathetic a little bit as well, but at the same time, I just wanted to fight.
What's your answer to my question?
Well, you saw it. Listen, I'm from Philadelphia, and I fought all my life inside the ring, outside the ring. When the person that's, when you get into a fisticuff, the person that's staying straight up is the one that's bitching out because you know he's going to get hit. So the person that's starting to talking to the refs and talking about what's going on, he's looking for a way out. I'm sorry. I just got to keep it straight.
So with the injunction, change in venue, him missing weight by 5 pounds,
Ooh.
how were you able to block out all the external noise coming into tonight?
Well, I mean, nothing was directed towards me. It was smooth sailing for me. I think all the pressure was on him, and he embarrassed himself. He was very unprofessional. And to me, I just think that it just added more fuel for me because I felt like everyone was actually looking forward to me performing well because it was just like, here's Chavez go with another episode, right? So I don't think it was any pressure on me. It was more so, like I said, just getting acclimated and feeling my way into the Super Cruiser heavyweight.
And you guys travel all over the world, you guys have done shows everywhere. The atmosphere since the week started was pretty awesome, right? Does this deter you from coming back?
No. Listen, I can't encourage that behaviour, but it's still passionate behaviour. I know it sounds bad, but we want that, and you can't have people that react the way they do on the ring walks with a noise and let's get ready to rumble and with a Mexican flag and then expect them, if they lose like that, just to go, oh, well, okay. That's the passion in them. They shouldn't have framed stuff, of course. But one guy does it, then 6 guys do it, then 46 guys do it, then 672 people do it, and we end up having an early bath. But I've never experienced anything like that. I've experienced a sort of, I can't call that a riot because there was no fighting. It was just people throwing beers. Like in England, they just fight. Yeah, no, but that was nothing. Trust me, I've seen 1,000 people fighting in a crowd. But it was just, chairs, everything. But it was just passionate people. And, they got a good show, a good card. The flyweight fight was sensational. And we got 5 good rounds. But unfortunately, they wanted another 7. Or they wanted someone to go out on the bump.
But, the same thing happened to his father here 2 decades ago against Costa Azul, and it was worse. They threw.
I guess they say history repeats itself, right? Yeah. All in all, though, this was one of the best camps I've ever had. So I truly want to thank my trainer, Fareed Samad, for the sacrifices that he made. I want to thank my chef, Frederick, who's been there for me, giving me advice, helping me out mentally, on a mental aspect, because we know this boxing game is very mental. My manager, Keith Connolly, for all that he does for me. I don't thank him enough for everything that he does for me. This guy has made tremendous amount of sacrifices, and he's been with me since day one. So I gotta thank this man, my best friend Darnell, Mike Rella, all my guys, Team Jacobs, everybody who's made sacrifices. Pop, I love you. Everybody who's made sacrifices and been there with me, because it takes a team to have a collective mind in order to make sacrifices for the end goal and the end results to be successful. And everybody made their sacrifices, so I want to thank everybody. I love you guys.
Jacobs, 2 totally different boxers, Canelo and Chavez.
Say that one more time.
2 totally different boxers, Canelo and Chavez.
Yeah, 2 totally different boxers, correct, yeah.
Yeah,
You want me to elaborate? Okay, well, they were definitely 2 totally different boxers. But at the same time, I'm a professional, and it's all about adjusting. Canelo was passive aggressive. He was more of a counterpuncher. And Chavez really just had to come forward, plant his feet, but he was a bigger guy. So it was 2 totally different fights. Both fighters I respect. Both fighters came in there to win. And for me, it was a learning experience on both ends. And now I just take the experience that I have and move forward with it and try to be the best fighter I can be in the future.
Yeah, this is for Danny and afterwards, Eddie. You said it's one of your best camps you ever had, if not your best.
Yeah.
How different was it? Because you didn't really know until this week who you were fighting. And then Eddie, what does it say to Danny's character that he really, stayed professional through all this when he really didn't know who he was going to fight until this week?
Well, on my side, he's a consummate professional. I mean, he's been in the game a long time. He knows exactly what he's doing. He just kept his head down, trusted in hopefully me and Keith that everything would be fine. We went the extra yard to make sure Rosado was on the card. He knew all along, Keith knew, that if anything went wrong with that fight, Rosado was going to be ready to jump in. He nearly jumped in after the weigh-in yesterday. And, Danny was just a professional. I think as the weeks went on, we knew that Chavez was going to be in the fight. There was no doubt for us 2 weeks out. It was earlier than that, with all the stuff with Nevada Commission. But as it got closer and closer, I think started to realise that he was the guy. And I think he wanted to fight him. know, he could have turned his back yesterday. I mean, a lot of fighters with nearly a 5 pound difference would have said, no. I mean, you saw one recently with Emmanuel Rodriguez. He pulled out the Louis Neri fight. It was 1 pound. And he said, I don't want any money. I'm not doing it. And it was, you know, I have to think tonight, when I saw them both in the ring, I kind of thought it was a bit dangerous. Because it was 5 pound yesterday, and it was probably 15 pound tonight, you know?
At least.
Yeah, so, but that was part of the obstacle that Danny had to overcome, and actually made the fight a lot closer.
Way more interesting.
Yeah, it did. It made the fight. It did make the fight more interesting because I believe at 68, Danny would have, you know, he wouldn't have given him a chance to turn it in on his stall.
Eddie, did Rosado end up fighting after
Yes,
this?
he's just finished. I believe.
Wow.
He's still going.
Is there anyone in the crowd out there? All right, we gotta hurry up because I want to go out there and cheer Rosado. I feel bad for the guy.
Wow.
You need some fans out there.
The venue said, I think we should leave it, and the commission were like, I don't think. Do you want to carry on? I said, yeah, absolutely. We shouldn't cancel the show. I mean, you know, it was time it calmed down. Why not? The guy's trained. He's done 9 weeks in camp. You know, so let him fight. So he fought.
I just want to have one more comment, Danny, and then I know you want to leave. Just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a professional, man. I know you being a fighter. I know you being a fighter, man. You know, you can, you know, you're deep down inside. You want to be able to just, you know, be a brawler and stuff like that, especially when he's doing stuff like this, saying that you're headbutting him or you're doing some illegal stuff. But just throughout the whole promotion, man, you know, you're being a true professional. And especially right now in this, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of professional fighters like that.
And you know, when we go out there and we put our lives on the line, because truly we do, each and every time for you guys' entertainment, there's nothing better, nothing greater for the appreciation of words like that, and you're, you know, showing us that you truly care about us actually going out there and doing that.
Absolutely.
Staying professional is something that I always vowed to do. You know, I have so many people watching, especially my son.
Yep.
I have a lot of people that look up to me and that I have to make sure I lead in the right direction. So that is just a testament to my character, but to know that you guys appreciate that, it means the world, because every time we go out there, you know, we want to make sure that we please you guys and that you appreciate what we do. And, you know, my hat's off to that, brother. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you.